Hey, I'm Ashleigh Chevalier, and this is the very first episode of Unmasked. This is a personal, in-depth podcast where you, me, and the universe get to have a conversation. I'm a curious explorer, an adventure seeker, but I haven't done nearly as much as I want to do. I mean, I'm sure I'm like most of us in that regard. I am a Christ follower, and maybe you are, or maybe you are not, but that's not exactly what this podcast is about. In fact, it's just something I feel like I should tell you because it does affect my perspective and it affects what how I think about things. The podcast is about all the things that we face day to day, the things that bring us joy, the hardships that build us, and the challenges that define us. There won't be much I won't talk about that we won't talk about, but here are some core things I typically talk about just in general and my interests, and I'm hoping that we'll have this opportunity to connect over them. Faith is one. Fitness, CrossFit, lifting, maybe even some archery. I'm not an expert in any of this. I just really enjoy it, and it's really good for you. There's travel, entrepreneurship, small and big business. I do run a small business, a small marketing PR agency, dogs, cats, marketing tips, motherhood, divorce. I've been divorced twice, broken families, domestic violence recovery. That's me too. Really messed up experiences and really good ones. Good relationships, bad relationships, what's worked, what hasn't worked, how core it was for me to fix things in my life so that I could have good ones. Music, maybe some art, maybe some whiskey, definitely plants. I love them. And college, because I have a degree. I'm going back to school and hopefully medical school, so going to be touching on some health medicine and particularly neuroscience, but nothing is really off limits. I come from a really science-based technical family, so probably some random science facts, engineering, and maybe even some history. I'm not big on politics or hate mongering, and I'll come right and say that I'm a libertarian and a U.S. Bill of Rights advocate. You do you, and I'll do me in my life. Let's just keep the peace and be free together. Now, I know this is a lot, and I know that most people say I should just focus on one thing, but the reality is I'm not an expert, I'm not a thought leader, and I'm really not trying to be one or falsify my way into that. The reality is so many of us have a variety of interests, and I find that we are way more connected than we think if we just talk about it and open up the conversation. I probably will bring experts on. I know a lot of cool people, a lot of experts in a lot of fields, but I'm way more interested in the world around us and what God has to say and what you may want to talk about. So here's a little bit about me. I am a mom. I run a small business. I am a professional musician. I've recorded 2 full-length albums. I have 2 more full-lengths coming out this year. I don't tour all the time. I tour sometimes. Some people love my voice. Some people hate my voice. I play several instruments, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert at any of them. Banjo, guitar, piano, a little bit of drums. Probably going to talk a little bit about plants because I love them. I have a Malinois shepherd blend, and she's very much more Malinois in her attitude than she is a shepherd outside of her loyalty. She was a rescue. I'm her 3rd owner. And then my little beautiful kitty, Ocean, who I found on the side of the road. Actually in the middle of the road near the train tracks. That's a whole other story for a whole different day. And then I have a beautiful daughter. I do talk a little bit about my daughter, probably, but, keeping kids in and out of the conversation, that's always, nothing's really off limits, but privacy is essential, right? She's a young one. So I do, I'll talk a little bit, about being a mom and the challenges I've had as a single mom, but, her life is her life, and I don't need to broadcast that for her prematurely, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the intro and foundation of this particular podcast. I'm hoping that we'll have a lot of great conversations, a lot of explorations. But remember, and I'll probably say this a lot before we get into all the nitty-gritty of all the episodes, that you're not alone. I'm praying for you. And if you want it to be, today is just the beginning.